My recent video explaining why a lot of golfers come over the top from the top of the backswing has had some great feedback, so I thought I'd make part 2. But this one has a little bit of an extra bonus included, just for you. Now, if you've not seen that first video on the over-the-top movement and why it takes place, it's definitely worth watching and it'll bring you some value. So it might be worth pausing this video and coming back to it in a little while. The link to the other video is in the description of this video. In this video, we're going to jump straight into an exercise and a drill that's really going to help you understand what it feels like to be less over the top from the top of your backswing. A swing that feels a little bit more in to out. It can be used as an exercise at home without a ball, and it's really going to get you to understand what it feels like to be less over the top from the top of your backswing with a swing that feels, again, a little bit more from the inside. And then eventually you can start to introduce the golf ball, and that's going to build up the memory. It's going to start remapping your brain. Whoa, hang on, Ryan. What do you mean remapping your brain? That sounds a little bit scary. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. The first video will explain why. Now, let's get into this exercise and drill. Now, the really great thing about this exercise and drill is that it's incredibly simple, and I don't really think that you can get it wrong. There's some drills out there, even some drills that I use, that there can be some user error involved. But with this one, I think it's so simple that you can't really get it wrong. Now, all that we need to do in order to get the feeling of this more in to out movement, maybe a little bit more of a sensation of the club dropping from the top as opposed to coming over the top from the top. It's a lot of tops. It's just to hold the golf club with your glove hand. Now, obviously, if you're right-handed, this is going to be your left hand, and if you're playing left-handed, it's going to be your right hand. And then just swinging the club, one-handed. Pretty full backswing. And what I find with this is almost everybody tends to start dropping the club a little bit more from the inside, naturally, without forcing it, as opposed to swinging the golf club with the right hand and arm. They tend to make a bit more of this over the top action. And it tends to be the case that for a right-hander, the right arm and the right side tends to get a little bit dominant over the left. The left is just a little bit submissive. We don't really want that. We want the left side to play a role. It doesn't necessarily dominate, but we don't want it to be dominated. And as an extra bonus, this isn't the bonus that I mentioned earlier, this is another bonus, you'll get one arm that's slightly bigger than the other one. So this left arm for you right-handers is going to be like Popeye with this left arm. The other thing that takes place when doing this, you become acutely aware as to whether your grip's any good or not. The way that you're holding the golf club. If you're holding it ineffectively and you're swinging it with one hand, way up, you can start feeling that club move around. You probably won't experience that so much if you've got your dominant hand on the handle as well. There's no escaping it. If you're gripping it incorrectly, you're going to start feeling this club wobbling about. You shouldn't really feel the club moving around. And if you are feeling the handle moving around in this glove hand when you're swinging one-handed, I've got you covered. I've got a video that can help you out. That's linked in the description of this video as well. Now, this can obviously be done quite simply at home. I would just encourage you doing maybe 10, 15, 20 of these each day, maybe a few more. And it's just giving you a sensation as to what it's like for that club to drop, like I said. Now it's time to introduce a golf ball. And you don't necessarily have to go down to the range. If you watch the first video that I did last week, it'll explain to you exactly as to why you don't have to hit range balls. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Maybe just starting off with an airflow ball or like a 50% ball or less at home, and just hitting some balls one-handed with this glove hand, this top hand. Put this hand wherever you want. Make a cup of tea with this one if you're really clever. And just swinging up to the top and just hitting one-handed. The shot quality isn't necessarily going to be that great, but again, that doesn't really matter. It's just the hitting the golf ball with a new movement that counts. And once we've done a good number of these, and the arm's starting to work a little bit, you can reintroduce the right hand. Now, I want you to feel as though that the right hand is just kind of passive. It's not really having any real influence on the club or imparting any force on the club. I want that hand to be sat on, but I want you to feel as though you're swinging the golf club more so with this left arm, and don't let this right arm and right side get dominant over the left. So we've got both arms positioned on the handle, but I just want you to feel as though you're swinging the golf club with the left, the right arm is inactive. And you should start to feel the club naturally want to drop more into this slot that gets mentioned a lot, as opposed to the club going out, across, and then across the golf ball. Now, I said at the start of the video that there was a bonus in this video just for you. So here it is. And it's all about interaction with the ground. And it's all related to which arm you're swinging the club with as well. So not only are we going to get this sensation that the club's dropping a little bit more into the slot, we're actually going to start hitting the turf more so where the ball is, as opposed to before it, maybe even slightly after the ball. When the right arm is dominant, I tend to find that people start hitting the ground before the ball. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because the right shoulder is behind the ball, the left shoulder, where obviously the arm is affixed, is actually ahead of the ball. So if you're swinging the club more so with the lead arm, it's more likely, no guarantee, but it's more likely that the ground's going to get hit after the ball as opposed to before it. So being a little bit more dominant with the lead arm can help you with the turf interaction as well. So now that you've seen these two videos, hopefully you're going to be armed with some really useful tools to take to the practice ground. We're going to allow you to get rid of this over-the-top movement once and for all. And if you've tried either of these two drills, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments box below. As usual, please like, share and subscribe. The next video coming shortly will be an I-59 iron on-course review, so make sure you press that bell icon so you don't miss out.